Marcus Rashford is considering leaving Manchester United. This has been tweeted and put out today by the world's leading transfer expert, according to most people, Fabrizio Romano. He has stated here that Marcus Rashford is considering his future. He's concerned about his lack of game time. Source close to Man United forward tells me he's always been professional, but he wants clarity. His current Manchester United deal runs out in June 2023. Now, Marcus Rashford has been a player that Man United fans were so desperate to see deliver, so desperate to see become a hero. He's a player myself. I really enjoy watching. When he's in form and when he's playing well, he's a player I personally enjoy. But Man United is a train that should wait for nobody. Manchester United may have to move on. He isn't getting the game time for one reason and one reason only. For over 18 months, some would say even as far as 2 years, but for about 18 months, he hasn't been the same Rashford. For the past 12 months, the goals and the assists have somewhat dried up. Not somewhat. The goals and the assists have massively dried up for this lad. There's no doubt about it. He isn't getting the game time and he's considering his future. We know the likes of Barcelona, the likes of Paris Saint-Germain in the past have all looked at him. They've all spoke about him coming in. They've all spoke about the possibility of making him, part of their team one day. We've seen that. We've seen the news stories. We know that to be true. There are options out there for Marcus Rashford. And Marcus Rashford could actually be one of the tools needed to help get Manchester United back on track potentially. As we see here, this is only from a few weeks ago. PSG remaining in contact with Marcus Rashford ahead of a potential summer move for the star. These are things that Manchester United should be looking to explore heavily going into this summer. Marcus Rashford's form is atrocious, and he's part of the problem of leaking information out of this football club. Now, it's funny, really, because when you mention leaking information, people have a natural propensity to think, oh, you're saying he's leaking the bad stories about Ronaldo, or, oh, you think it's Rashford who's giving the team news away. No, I don't think Rashford's doing that. Rashford's leaking of information is always shrouded and drenched, saturated in self-preservation. Whenever there's a story going around the club that certain players aren't pulling their weight or are not listening to the manager, there's always a press release or two from media outlets talking about the extra work and the hard work that Rashford is putting in. We lose in the Manchester derby. Yes, we don't want an essay saying that you're sorry anymore. But the very next day, the world's leading transfer expert from a source close to Rashford. Now, what I like about it being Fabrizio is people tell me, and listen, I think he's fantastic. People tell me he's the GOAT. He doesn't make things up. He's not a clickbait merchant. So it's now coming from Fabrizio Romano. How'd you like them apples? Marcus Rashford is part of the problem of this football club. Marcus Rashford is part of the me mentality that is damaging and killing this football club. Self-preservation, putting themselves above the football club, the endless PR, doing extra training hours, cuddling up next to Ronaldo. He's doing this. He's first in, last out. Don't care. If you're not delivering, I don't care. If I don't see that you're giving your all on the football pitch each game you're in, I don't care. And Marcus Rashford isn't doing that. Marcus Rashford looks a shadow of his former self. And I'm not suggesting his entire career is over. But I do believe it could serve everybody well for Marcus Rashford to leave. I do feel that if Marcus Rashford was to leave Manchester United, it could benefit him. It could rejuvenate him, give him a sense of confidence back, allow him to go into a fresh new team, new club, where he doesn't have the pressures and the expectations. And you know what? There is about 30-40% of the fan base that doesn't rate him at all. He can go elsewhere and kind of restart his career. Equally, Man United would be able to generate a fair amount of money. Going into 1 year in his contract, it's either now or never. He's valued as one of the most valuable footballers in the world because there is a huge commercial connection to Marcus Rashford. Football fans have got to get their heads around this. It's been going on for over 7 or 8 years now. Highly commercial players are worth more than players of maybe even better ability who are less commercial. That's something just to get over, stop crying about, stop being a baby about, especially on social media. If you want to cry and be a baby, go get back on the mum's breast. That's where you belong. But Marcus Rashford, I don't even like saying it because it makes me feel a little bit sad. I was really hoping that he would be the guy to help take Man United back to that next level. I was really hoping that he was going to be the individual that was going to get Man United back to their very, very best. And he hasn't been able to do that. And that's fine with me. Because I think something that's really embarrassing at the moment is Man United fans laughing at players they dislike, failing in a team that their favourite players that they love also failed in. I don't care so much about Rashford making it, Bruno making it, Pogba making it, Dalot making it, Maguire making it, Varane making it, even Sancho, Ronaldo, Cavani, any of them. I want them to do well, but for one reason, for Manchester United to do well. My loyalty is with the football club only. My energy is towards the football club only. So when I do see a player in our team that shouldn't be here anymore or playing when they're out of form, my frustration is more with the why are they being played, not with the individual player. People keep going on about McTominay, he hides, he ain't good enough, why is he here? Then why are you not directing that energy towards the people that keep him here instead of the player? That's where the energy needs to go. United fans have got to wise up and wake up, get off the players' backs, and maybe I know why they don't want to do it. I saw a guy ranting yesterday, absolute epic rant about how bad this club is. The man was kitted out in all the new stuff. I'm like, wow, you cuck. That's all it comes down to. And this Rashford news comes out very self-preserving. Yesterday, we saw the news after the game that United are going to look to appoint the new manager. The new manager is on his way soon. They're going to get the new manager done and dusted in the coming weeks. And you sort of sit there and think to yourselves, the timing of this news is an absolute abomination. And that's all it is. It was an abomination. Minutes after the final whistle, Mr. Ornstein says United have understood to start meeting candidates as part of the process to appoint the boss and aim to make the decision in the next few weeks. So the new man is fully involved in the squad construction for next season and beyond. Look at this, from Ornstein and Laurie Whitwell. They didn't get that information at 7 p.m. last night or 7:10 when it came out. They've had that information for days. Don't be a fool. Don't be a fool. They've been told to hold on to it and release it at the right time. Article written, saved behind the scenes on the website, tweets all drafted, but prepped by the Man United PR machine. You do not release until the right time, the right moment. In return, Mr. Ornstein and Mr. Whitwell, which is absolutely fine by their part, by the way, this is not on the journalist, it's on you to read through between the lines, will be promised some exclusive information. They'll probably get some exclusive interviews with some players at some point for doing the club's bidding. We lose a game embarrassingly, but to soften the blow, the information comes out. Rashford is very different. Rashford is very much of the ilk of, listen, I know I'm not in the team. I'm going to test the water by letting the media know that I'm thinking about leaving. But what we definitely need to put in there is, I've always been professional. The very fact that this information has come out of the club via your source, Rashford, and now Fabrizio's lying, I expect to see you quote tweeting him. I expect to see you quote tweeting Fabrizio saying, this is not true. Let's see if you do. Let's see if you do. But the fact that it had to say in the tweet, he is always professional, but wants clarity, you're not being professional. It's ironic. At the very same time when you see the club falling apart, at the very same time that you see the fans just at war with each other over what's right and what's wrong, and we all have a difference of opinion, we don't need players giving us out this information. We need players to keep their head down, their mouth shut, and to work hard. But we're not going to get that. We're not going to get it because the culture of the club there isn't a culture at the club, not a positive one. There is the me mentality. I'm putting myself and my interests first above the club's. Now, this is something I know Ralf is going to try. I mean, I've seen, again, calls for Ralf to not be involved anymore. Awful manager, terrible appointment. He's the damn interim. Being dragged into a debate of how good or bad he is irrelevant. He was always going to go upstairs. And there is a part of me that's kind of happy that he isn't doing the most amazing job as a manager, because that could have tempted our terrible owners into giving him this job full time. He isn't an elite level manager. He is too old and too long in the tooth to never have had a job of this size and magnitude to be a world-class elite manager. What he is, though, is a tremendous director of football that knows how to run a football club. There is proof of that. He is one of the very best in the business, and that is where he needs to sit. Let's not lose sight of what he came in to do and where we were promised he'd be put. Losing sight of that and getting angry over the results and wanting him kicked out of the football club, again, does the Glazers' bidding. Don't allow your minds to become clouded. Marcus Rashford, I'll say this, young man. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the things you do off the pitch. I'm never going to judge your personal character because I don't know you. And I think it is wrong to slander and slam that. On a professional standpoint, the PR stinks. Your performances in the last 12 months do not warrant a player earning £200,000 a week at Manchester United Football Club. So I do believe you should be considering your future. And the lack of game time is because you're not playing well enough. It isn't, in my opinion, because Elanga and co are overtly more talented than you, but it's because they're putting in better performances, they are working harder, and they look like they want to be there. You don't, young man. If you want to leave the football club, do it, but do it as quietly as possible, as gracefully as possible. The standard you have set to so many young men around this country about how to behave, how to use your fame and power to influence for good has been absolutely, truly inspiring. And you'll always be Sir Marcus Rashford to me in that regard. But what I implore you to do is have that same level of decorum when it comes to wanting to leave Manchester United or wanting to get back to the top of the club. Do it with that same level of distinction. Do it with that same attitude that was so beautiful when you took on the likes of Boris Johnson, overfeeding very helpless and underprivileged children across the United Kingdom, and maybe even around the world. I'm not too far how far that spread. I don't want to do you any injustice there. But stop the damn leaks. Get your head down. Respect that badge. And most importantly of all, respect the people that are paying your wages. 200 grand a week that fans pump into your pocket through one way, shape or form. Make sure you leave your comments, ladies and gentlemen. Smash that like and that share button as well. Rashford to leave the club. Give me your thoughts.